Hey babes, it's your favorite instructor Red, and today I am excited to talk to you about a topic that is very highly requested and also something that I think a lot of people want to achieve, yet don't have a good understanding of why they're not able to achieve it. And that topic is why you're not getting more flexible, even if you're stretching every single day. I have been a pole dancer and a spicy dancer for 8 years now, and I also have a background in gymnastics, which has contributed a lot to my level of flexibility, and it's something that I get asked about a lot. And even though I am very flexible, I did go through the journey of getting my splits and becoming more flexible. And I also have to target different areas today to be able to do different pull tricks that I want to do, such as targeting my shoulders, targeting my back for more flexibility so that I can achieve these different shapes. I also did do a little bit of research to be able to back up the things that I'm saying today in this video with science, because I like to just look at things with a very sciencey perspective sometimes, because it helps me to take the emotions out of the frustration that I'm feeling why I can't get more flexible. And it helps me attack things in a more systematic and strategic way so that I can actually get closer to my goals versus just making myself more frustrated and upset. That's the perspective we're going to come from today. We're going to have a science state of mind. And I'm going to explain to you why you're not getting more flexible, even though you might be stretching every single day. So let's talk about why passive stretching alone doesn't actually lead to long-lasting flexibility. Flexibility isn't just about the ability for the muscles to lengthen and stretch, but it's also about your strength at the end range of that stretch, your nervous system tolerance, and your joint control. Your body holds tension as a protective reflex. This is called a stretch reflex. If you're only doing passive stretching, which is only pulling into positions with no strength, your brain is not going to feel safe in that position and it's going to pull you back. What actually increases your flexibility in the long term is active flexibility, which is strength plus range. This tells the nervous system, I can control this range. This is safe. This is why dancers who only try to yank themselves into the splits often feel stuck and stiff because they're not training their brain and their body to also know how to pull themselves back up out of that stretch. I know this idea sounds counterintuitive, but it's so important that you're training your active flexibility as well as your passive flexibility, which is why in so many of my stretching flows, we are doing active flexibility exercises such as pulses and sliding in and out of stretches in order to build the strength and confidence that you need to get further in your range. Now, the second reason why you're not getting more flexible, even though you're stretching every day, is because you're stretching cold. It's wintertime right now. I got my Christmas lights up, and science actually proves that when our bodies are cold, our muscles are cold, and thus they have less blood flow, they're less elastic, and they're going to resist lengthening in the way that we need them to in order to get further in our stretching. If we actually do a warm up before stretching, this increases your tissue temperature, oxygen delivery, and neural readiness, which will make your muscles move more easily and tolerate deeper ranges in a safe way. That's why most studies show far more range in flexibility when starting off with a warm-up versus not starting off with a warm-up. I think of my muscles when they're stretching kind of like a rubber band, and when our muscles are warm, they're going to be much more willing to stretch further and trust us to increase that range. Your tissues literally become more elastic. Now, a third reason why you're not getting more flexible, and you might actually be surprised by this, it might be because you're stressed, babe. Burnout and tightness are all correlated and can make your nervous system not be willing to get more flexible. Now, the science behind this is that chronic stress levels actually increase your cortisol and it triggers your sympathetic nervous system activation, so your fight or flight. When we are stressed, our body does not want to experience any changes or anything like that. You don't want to do anything that's out of your comfort zone, especially not stretching yourself past what you're comfortable doing. So, when our body is in fight or flight, our muscles are going to stay guarded, our flexibility is going to decrease, our recovery is going to feel slower, and our pain sensitivity is going to increase. It honestly makes sense when you really think about it that a more relaxed nervous system is going to get better flexibility results if you're able to relax into your stretches. So, here's some recommendations. You can do breath work before your stretches, which has scientifically proven to reduce the stress level in our bodies. And you can also do flow based stretching, which is kind of dancing through our stretches. And a lot of my flows incorporate these tips that I'm mentioning, which is why we always start out with a warm up. We always start our stretches with a warm up and we go through our whole stretching flow. That's why I call a lot of my stretches flows, because it actually allows you to just relax more into the intense feelings of stretching and flexibility. And that's just one way to enjoy it more and have more of a relaxed sense of being while you're doing your stretches versus 30 seconds in this position, 30 seconds in another position. Sometimes that can actually make you just feel more stressed. So if your body is stressful, your body literally is not going to want to open up the same way. So anything that you can do to reduce your stress levels and bring your nervous system back to a relaxed place before you're stretching, just in general, it'll help to make you feel less tight. The fourth thing I want to talk about is why consistency beats intensity. All right, so science actually shows that slow, repeated mobility inputs retrain your tissue tolerance, they improve your neural range memory, and they reduce injury risk. Small little stretch sessions can actually be so useful. You don't have to spend 30 minutes to an hour stretching every day. You can do little 10-minute sessions, and it's actually going to be better for you if you're able to be consistent with 10-minute sessions. Long, intense stretch sessions that are done inconsistently can actually make your body sore because it's like, whoa, what's going on? And it can also trigger protective tension. So your body's going to be like, oh my God, like this is too much. And it's like overload of stretching. And it can actually increase your setbacks in your journey. Flexibility really is mostly neurological adaptation, which is allowing your body to get into these further range positions. And it's not just about the tissue lengthening. So that's really important to understand and to train our brains to get used to the feeling of stretching, to enjoy it. There's a reason that at this point in my career, after stretching and doing all this stuff for so long, that I actually feel enjoyment in that feeling of pain through stretching, because I have created a positive relationship in my brain between stretching, the pain that I'm feeling, and the results that I'm getting and how I feel afterwards. So retraining those neurological connections and how we feel about stretching actually makes a difference. And the way to do that is to consistently do short sessions. They don't feel unbearable, they don't feel overwhelming, just short sessions that are sweet and they actually make you feel better. And 10 minutes a few times a week is better than one 90-minute brutal stretching session. Now, the fifth thing I want to talk about is why only stretching hamstrings doesn't actually unlock your splits. And here's why. Splits and deep flexibility depend on hip flexors, glutes, abductors, ankles, spinal mobility, pelvic control, all these different things. And if any of those are tight or weak, your body is going to block the range. So even if your hamstrings are stretchy, that doesn't mean that all of these different pieces are ready to get you into the splits yet. So this is why people say, my hamstrings are flexible, but I just still can't get it down. It's not always about the hamstrings. It's usually the hip flexors, the deep glutes, the pelvic stability, which is why it's important to focus on all the different parts of the body when we're stretching and not just one stretch or not just one area. Deep flexibility is going to require you to develop a deep relationship with all the different parts of your body. So it's really important that you're not just focusing on one thing and neglecting everything else when it comes to flexibility, to have a mentality of well-roundedness in your stretching practice and giving attention to all the different parts of your body. Even if your goal is the splits, make sure that you're giving attention to all those different muscle groups that are required to get the splits. So my recommendation to you is to do full body stretches, incorporate different shapes. Don't just do the same 3 or 4, but do your research in finding different shapes and different stretches that you can do and different pulses or holds or things that you can do to mix it up. I have flows on my channel and every single one is different for different purposes, different focuses, but you can take the pieces of those stretches and use them and put together your own flows that feel good as well. Now I want to talk about why rest days actually increase flexibility. So this surprises people, but it's actually real. Flexibility improves through tissue recovery, nervous system integration, and adaptation during rest. When you're stretching hard every single day, you may notice that you're feeling super sore all the time. Your neural guarding increases. Your brain is like, oh my God, I'm not looking forward to this stretching session. So you're going to feel tight and your range is going to plateau. So you're not going to feel any progress in your stretching journey. But when you incorporate rest into your daily practice, you are collagen remodeling, which is also going to help you with nervous system down regulation and stronger long-term gains, more deep flexibility. And this is why flexibility programs always include recovery days. If you buy a program, no one should be recommending you to go hard every single day. The body needs rest, and if we don't give it the rest that it needs, it's going to lock up and actually force us to rest through injuries or plateauing our progress. Now that I've gone through some of the reasons why you are struggling to get more flexible and to get your splits, let's talk about what science says actually works long term so that you can feel confident when you are going about the rest of your stretching journey. The most effective flexibility training combines gentle warm ups, active flexibility, passive stretching, breath work, and down regulation, recovery days, low stress environments, and progressive overload, which is slow increases in depth with every session. So this is actually perfectly how I structure all of my flows and all of my classes for red light therapy. Slow, grounded, strength informed, and not aggressive. Not anything that's going to stress your body out, but things that are actually going to relax you and tell your body, hey, it's safe here. We can go a little bit lower. We can allow ourselves to open up and lengthen because I trust that I can get myself back out of this and that I'm safe to go deeper. So maybe you didn't know that your flexibility journey was this deep, but it really is. And if you're interested in splits, I have a splits tutorial. I have a middle splits tutorial. I also have other stretching flows and yoga flows on my channel that you can check out. And I also teach classes on my app called Red Light Therapy, and we have a flexibility and strength bundle, which will help you with conditioning exercises and flexibility exercises, which is the perfect combination if you actually want to get more flexible. So I hate to make your life a little bit more complicated, but I hope that this helps you attain your flexibility goals, and you can't wait to see you get your splits, babe. Be consistent and disciplined in your practice and allow yourself to be a beginner in order to get better. I'll see you guys in a video next week. I hope everyone's having a great December so far. Mwah. See you next time.